Buenos Aires is one of those cities whose identity is bigger than its borders. Officially called the autonomous city of Buenos Aires, it is the capital and largest city of Argentina, a country that stretches from subtropical forests in the north to windswept Patagonia in the south. But Buenos Aires is more than a political capital. It is Argentina's main cultural stage, a major economic center, and one of the most recognizable urban landscapes in Latin America. With broad avenues, historic cafes, dense neighborhoods, theaters, ports, and apartment blocks shaped by waves of migration, the city feels both local and international. It is often described as having a European look, but that description only tells part of the story. Buenos Aires is a city built by Argentina's own history, colonial settlement, immigration, political conflict, urban expansion, and constant reinvention. Geographically, Buenos Aires sits on the southwest edge of the Rio de la Plata, a vast estuary formed by the meeting of the Parana and Uruguay rivers before they open toward the Atlantic Ocean. This location has shaped the city from the beginning. The river made Buenos Aires a gateway for goods, people, ideas, and political power. Unlike cities surrounded by mountains or built around dramatic natural landmarks, Buenos Aires developed on mostly flat terrain, spreading outward through neighborhoods and suburbs. Its connection to the water is not always visually dramatic from every street, but historically it is essential. The port gave the city its commercial importance, and its position facing the Rio de la Plata helped connect Argentina to Europe, other parts of the Americas, and global trade networks. Today, Buenos Aires is recognized as an important global city. In the 2024 ranking by the Globalization and World Cities Research Network, known as GAWC, Buenos Aires is classified as an Alpha- global city. That label reflects the city's role in international business, culture, finance, communications, and regional influence. Buenos Aires is not simply a large national capital, it functions as a major node in the global urban system. Companies, universities, media organizations, embassies, artists, and international institutions all contribute to that status. For Argentina, Buenos Aires often acts as the country's main interface with the world. For South America, it remains one of the continent's most influential metropolitan centers, especially in culture, education, publishing, design, and political debate. The numbers help explain its weight. The city proper has about 3.1 million people, but that figure can be misleading if viewed alone. Buenos Aires is much larger in everyday life than its official city boundary suggests. Its wider urban area has around 16.7 million people, making it one of the largest metropolitan areas in the world and among the biggest in the Americas. Millions of people live outside the autonomous city but commute, work, study, shop, or maintain family ties across the metropolitan region. This creates a dense urban system where the central city and surrounding municipalities are deeply connected. When people speak about Buenos Aires, they may mean the official capital, the cultural core, or the vast metropolis that surrounds it. One of the city's most famous features is its architecture. Buenos Aires is known for preserved eclectic European-style buildings, but the key word is eclectic. Its streets do not follow one single style. You can find grand avenues influenced by Parisian planning, Italianate facades, Spanish colonial traces, Art Nouveau details, modernist apartment towers, and contemporary glass buildings. This mix reflects the city's economic highs and cultural ambitions, especially during the late 19th and early 20th centuries, when Argentina was one of the world's wealthier export economies. Public buildings, theaters, train stations, and private homes were designed to project sophistication and confidence. The result is a cityscape where different eras overlap, producing a visual identity that feels layered rather than uniform. Buenos Aires is also famous for its cultural life. The city has long been a center of literature, theater, music, film, journalism, and public conversation. Its cafes have functioned as meeting places for writers, students, workers, activists, and artists. Its theaters and bookstores are part of the city's everyday identity, not just tourist attractions. The cultural reputation of Buenos Aires comes from both high culture and street-level creativity, formal institutions on one hand, neighborhood traditions on the other. This is a city where politics, art, and daily social life often intersect. Its cultural importance helps explain why Buenos Aires feels so central to Argentina's image abroad. To many outsiders, the city becomes a shorthand for Argentine sophistication, intensity, and debate. A major reason Buenos Aires developed such a distinctive personality is immigration. Since the 19th century, Argentina received millions of immigrants from around the world, and Buenos Aires was one of the main arrival points. Many came from Europe, especially Italy and Spain, but the city also became home to communities with many different ethnic and religious backgrounds. These migrations changed the language, food, architecture, labor movements, politics, and social customs of the city. Buenos Aires became a melting pot where identities did not simply remain separate, they blended into new urban forms. Even the local dialect of Spanish reflects this history, shaped by immigrant speech patterns and the social life of the port city. The Buenos Aires accent is part of its cultural signature. Calling Buenos Aires diverse is not just a polite description. The city is considered one of the most diverse in the Americas because its population has been shaped by multiple waves of arrival, settlement, and cultural exchange. Diversity in Buenos Aires appears in religious communities, surnames, neighborhood identities, cuisine, music, and everyday slang. It also appears in the way the city understands itself. Buenos Aires often imagines its identity through mixture, local and foreign, American and European, traditional and modern. That mixture can be a source of pride, but it also reflects the complexities of immigration, class, and national belonging. The city's culture was not created by one group alone. It was assembled over generations by people who arrived, adapted, worked, and left marks on the urban fabric. Politically, Buenos Aires has a special status within Argentina. It is an autonomous district, and it is not part of Buenos Aires province. This can be confusing because the province and the city share the same name, but they are separate jurisdictions. The city is also not the capital of Buenos Aires province. This separation goes back to a crucial moment in Argentine history. In 1880, after the Argentine Civil War, Buenos Aires was federalized, meaning it became the national capital under federal control and was split from the province. The city limits were later expanded to include the towns of Belgrano and Flores, which are now neighborhoods within the capital. This political arrangement reflects the long struggle over power between the national government, the province, and the port city. The city's modern autonomy came much later. A constitutional amendment in 1994 granted Buenos Aires a new level of self-government, giving rise to its formal name, the Autonomous City of Buenos Aires. Before this change, the city's mayor was directly appointed by the President of Argentina. That meant residents of the capital did not choose their own local executive in the same way many other city residents did. In 1996, citizens elected their first chief of government. This shift mattered because it gave Buenos Aires stronger democratic control over its own administration. Today, the city's autonomy is central to how it governs transportation, public services, culture, urban planning, and local politics, even while it remains the national capital. Beyond the official city lies Greater Buenos Aires, the huge conurbation that includes many surrounding cities and municipalities in Buenos Aires province. This metropolitan area is one of the largest in the Americas and forms the real everyday region for millions of residents. The relationship between the autonomous city and the surrounding districts is complex. Jobs, infrastructure, housing markets, transportation systems, and social inequalities extend across administrative borders. A person may live in the province, work in the capital, and spend weekends moving between both. This makes Buenos Aires not just a city, but a metropolitan ecosystem. Its scale also helps explain its influence. The concentration of people, institutions, and services makes it a dominant force in Argentina's national life. Buenos Aires also stands out for its quality of life and human development within Argentina. It has the highest human development of all Argentine administrative divisions, reflecting advantages in education, income, health services, and urban infrastructure. In 2024, its quality of life was ranked 97th in the world, placing it among the stronger performers in Latin America. Of course, rankings never capture the full experience of a city. Buenos Aires includes wealth and poverty, elegance and congestion, opportunity and frustration. But its strong institutions, cultural offerings, transportation networks, universities, healthcare, and public spaces give it a level of urban depth that continues to attract residents, students, workers, and visitors from across the region and beyond. What makes Buenos Aires remarkable is the way all these layers coexist. It is the capital of Argentina, but also an autonomous city with its own political identity. It is a historic port, but also a global urban center. It has European-influenced architecture, but its culture was created in the Americas through immigration, adaptation, and local invention. It is a city of 3.1 million within its official limits, yet the heart of a metropolitan region of more than 16 million. Buenos Aires is not easily reduced to a postcard of tango streets or grand avenues. Its real story is about scale, mixture, and influence. At the edge of the Rio de la Plata, it remains one of Latin America's defining cities, complex, diverse, and unmistakably alive. If you found this helpful, please like this video and subscribe for more explainers.